What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so excited for today's episode because we're going to be talking all about high intensity spacing. Now, a lot of you have asked about high intensity spacing because you're new to this channel. A lot of you have also asked about high intensity spacing because you've had some questions about it and you might have heard about it from some of our older videos, which I thank you, by the way, if you are new to this channel and have been binge watching our older videos, or if you've been watching this channel for any length of time and have heard this concept be talked about from time to time, and you actually have the courage to ask these questions, because first of all, there's no such thing as a dumb question. But the second thing is that oftentimes when one person asks the question, there's 10 other people that are too afraid to look dumb that don't ask the question. And so in today's episode, we're gonna be talking all about high intensity spacing, why I love it so much, and why it has been probably one of the most life-changing things that I have ever kind of come across and discovered in our garden. And I don't generally use that too often. You know, when I say something is life-changing, I know a lot of people tend to look at that as kind of hyperbole. A lot of people look at that as kind of cliche. But this is something that really is life-changing for me. You know, when I look at our garden, I look at it not just as a hobby. Yes, it is a hobby. Yes, it is kind of therapy for me to get out, get my hands in the dirt, and de-stress a little bit after a long day, or, you know, just a terrible news cycle, anything like that. I just look at this as kind of this is my oasis of happiness. But I also look at this as a way for me to put food on my family's table. With food shortages and rising food costs and questionable food quality, my garden is something that grows food for me. It feeds my family, it feeds my wife, it feeds my daughter, it feeds my mom and my dad and my cousins, even my neighbors. And so when I look at my garden, I really truly say that high intensity spacing has been life-changing for me. So the idea behind high intensity spacing is taking the status quo of plant spacing should be this for this plant and this, you know, X for this plant and Y for this plant. The plant spacing is the plant spacing because the plant spacing is the plant spacing. That's the general premise. You know, you just don't question it. You do not question plant spacing. And I really asked the question of, well, why don't you question plant spacing? And where did plant spacing even come about? And who says what the correct spacing is for plants? And when I really asked that, I discovered that, number one, plant spacing comes from a very inefficient model. You see, hundreds of years ago, when farming was very centralized, during the kind of the mechanization of everything, the Industrial Revolution, farming became very centralized, and it was done on large swaths of land where one person would grow, you know, 1,000 people's food. But when World War I and World War II came around, rationing became a thing, and the issue was that there was labor shortages as well as food shortages. And so people said, hang on a second, this centralized form of food is very inefficient. It's also very unsustainable. And what I want to do is I want to decentralize that and bring it back home. And so a lot of people, your grandparents, I know my grandparents did this, they grew a garden. They grew a garden to grow food for themselves because if food was being rationed, this was a way of putting more food on their plate and saving money in the long run. Great Depression, you know, everything was about frugality. And when they decentralized the farm and brought it back to the home, the one thing they did not do is they did not take away any of those inefficiencies. You know, things like plant spacing, things like, inefficient models such as rototilling, irrigation, fertilizing, pesticides, all those things that are done on large swaths of land, none of them were ever changed. They were just brought back home to decentralize the farm, but they were never made efficient. They were never adapted to the home scale. They were just replicated on a smaller scale. And that's really where I found the biggest issue with high intensity spacing and traditional spacing. Why did these two clash so much? And it's because we don't challenge the status quo. Still to this very day, if you look on the back of a seed packet, you look on the back of a little seed label, a little plant label, you ask your grandparents that might have been around back in the day, back in the Great Depression or a little bit after that, 40s and 50s or so, or you maybe even ask your parents that have learned from their grandparents about plant spacing. You're going to hear this very similar concept of spacing is spacing, and you don't challenge spacing. And I just really don't understand that. I don't understand why we don't challenge spacing. And that's why I decided to challenge spacing. So the spacing was done because of large farming implements. You had big tires, you had rototillers, you had these big tractors, you had horse-drawn rototillers, and you had all this big equipment to manage large swaths of land. Well, do you have large swaths of land in a home scale? Do you have rototillers? You might have a small rototiller, but do you have a big rototiller? Do you have horse-drawn rototillers or a tractor? No. We have small little raised beds. The soil in those raised beds, is it hard compacted clay that you have to rototill every single year? Does it create a dust bowl and blow around and displace thousands of people? Does it require very synthetic fertilizers because the soil is spread out so far and you have to manage so much land in as cheaply of a way as possible? No. The soil quality is incredible. The soil quality is pure compost because it's not that hard to manage. We're growing in raised beds, so we don't have to sacrifice soil quality, but we also can retain the soil quality because we don't have to walk in our raised beds. We can manage them from the outside, working inside our raised beds with just our hands. We can manage our garden with shovels and rakes, and we don't have to use these big farming implements. And so the spacing was done because of these big farming implements to manage the land and to manage the plants and to manage the weeds, that you had to have all those things for thousands of acres, hundreds of acres, if not thousands of acres. You had to have those big farming implements to make it efficient and even possible. So when you brought it back home, why didn't any of those things change? It's not like you couldn't see that you could manage this with your hands. People were working in their gardens. My grandpa was working a garden with a rake and a shovel and a hoe. So why did he never question the spacing? The spacing was the spacing, and you didn't question the spacing. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, I discovered the life-changing concept of high-intensity spacing, and that was basically taking spacing and starting with halving the spacing, just starting off by halving it. I said, well, halving is a good place to start. Some plants, you can grow them half as close as what's recommended, and some plants even closer, as we'll get into. And what I discovered was something absolutely incredible. What you found is that not only was I able to grow twice as much food in half the space, but my garden was actually healthier in the long run. I was able to grow, say, in a bed of this size, the spacing for zucchinis would be 4 plants in a 36 square feet area. 4 plants. No way. I said, no way. I started with 8 plants in a raised bed of this size. And what I found is, okay, there's no competition. There was no increase in disease. There was no increase in pest pressure. There was no ill effects whatsoever with 8 plants. And that's doubling the amount of plants. How much further can we go? So I went to 12 plants. I went to 12 plants in a small 36 square foot raised bed. That is 1 plant every 3 square feet. 1 zucchini plant, 1 giant zucchini plant every 3 square feet. Guess what? No ill effects. No ill effects whatsoever. So I went from a recommended, it's crazy and absolutely ludicrous to ever consider planting more than 4 plants. You're overcrowding your beds. You're gonna risk killing your garden. You're gonna risk failing the entire growing season by planting any more than 4 zucchini plants in a raised bed of this size. Why would you ever do it? I went from that to 12 plants. 3 times the amount of plants in the same amount of space, and no ill effects. I had increased yields, I had more food for my family, and I had, if I wanted to, I had more space to grow more crops. Like, let's say I didn't need 12 zucchini plants, because who needs 12 zucchini plants? I could just grow 6 in half a raised bed and use the other half of my raised bed for growing something else entirely. It just opened up so many possibilities that I was able to grow so much more food in such a small amount of space. But when it came to things like watering, we found that we had to water much less. Why? Because the plants, when they grew up, they shaded the soil. When they shade the soil, they protect the soil from evaporation. When the sun beats down on soil, it actually solarizes and kills the soil. That causes the water in your soil to leave. It causes you to have to water more frequently. It stresses out the plants and it kills bacteria. It actually kills the living, breathing soil that you're trying to build in an organic garden. So when the plants grew up and shaded the soil quality was actually retained. The water was actually retained, so I had to water a lot less. Also, conversely, is I did not have to weed as much, because when I shade the soil, the weed seeds that are growing or would grow are shaded out and can't access sunlight. So they're smothered, and that leads to less weeding. So here is our leafy green bed. And one thing you'll notice with our leafy green bed is we have radishes, spinach, lettuce. This is all lettuce here. And what you'll notice is that they are very close together. The secret behind planting things so close together is that they support themselves, they shade the soil, and they crowd the soil in a good way. Crowding is not always a bad thing. You can crowd and have them compete. But if you plant just close enough, what you'll notice is that the crowding actually leads to shading. It shades the soil. See the soil? Look at this. Very little sun exposure. As these plants grow up, they're pretty young right now, but as they grow up, the leaves are going to grow up, and the leaves from this side are going to grow up, and they're actually going to support, and it's going to block all this out. This is going to be just a sea of lettuce by the time this is all done. And so it's going to protect the soil, it's going to shade the soil, it's going to mulch the soil from weeds, and it's going to be just so amazing. But also you'll notice I'm getting so much more food. Because I'm not harvesting our lettuce for a head, I'm actually harvesting for leaves, I'm able to grow hundreds of plants in the same space I might be able to grow 10 or 12. Look at how healthy the spinach is. Now the recommended spacing for spinach is 4 inches. Look how close the spinach is. It's about an inch per plant. But you'll notice that I have spacing in between to allow for that airflow, which is important. You know, they're not going to be over competing. They're not going to be too crowded, but they're crowded just enough to where they're growing and they're getting all the benefits of being close together. Look at these radishes. Look at this. Look at this beautiful radish. Check this out. Look at this. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. No ill effects. It's just a sea of radishes. Super dense. But that's because they're growing up. They're actually doing what they're supposed to do. And they're doing what plants do best, and they're covering the soil. That's what plants do best. That's why a forest shades the soil. They love to be close together. Plants love to be as close as possible. But you'll notice, look at this. Just look. Look at these beautiful radishes. Amazing. Just amazing. See? No ill effects. None whatsoever. Now here's our tomatoes. The common spacing for tomatoes is 3 feet apart. 3 feet. These are 3 foot wide beds. Could you imagine planting just 1 row of tomatoes through this whole bed? That's what common spacing would have. But also, could you imagine spacing? See, I have 6 plants in this raised bed right here. Could you imagine only putting 4? So not only are you not getting 12 plants, you're only getting 4 plants. We're getting 3 times the tomatoes because we're only spacing them out 1.5 feet apart. They're getting 1 foot, about a foot or so from the edge of the raised bed to the plant, and they're getting about 1 foot or so to the middle of the raised bed. So that way when the foliage grows up, it's shading the soil. Same exact concept as the lettuce, just a different crop. And here's our beans. You'll notice with beans, they're planted out about every 4 inches apart. You're getting about 4 inches on either side, giving a total plant spacing about 8 inches roughly. But these are bush beans. If you're growing pole beans, you can space them much closer together and grow them vertically. But when these plants are growing, they're going to be completely shaded. All the soil is going to be shaded, and it's a lot better than 11-inch spacing between each plant. And here's our peppers. Traditional spacing for peppers is 1.5 feet. Well, why plant them 1.5 feet apart? In 1.5 feet, you could only get 2 pepper plants, but now we're getting 3 per row. Also, because you're doing 1.5 feet, you'd only be able to get about 5 plants in a bed of this size, but we're actually getting 8 plants. So we're growing 24 plants versus only about 16. And finally, here is zucchini. Now they're small right now. Zucchini plants start out small, so not the best example. You know, come back in about 2 or 3 months when these things are giant, but you'll notice that we have a plant here. We have a plant about 1.5 feet away. We have another plant about another 1.5 feet away. Another plant 1.5 feet away from that one. Another one right there. Another one right there. And another one right there. They're spaced about 1.5 feet apart. They're getting about 3 feet total spacing, but they're about 1.5 feet apart from each other. And that allows us to grow 3 to 4 times as many zucchini in the same amount of space. So as you can see, we use this method with absolutely everything in our garden. Everything uses high intensity spacing. We start by halving the spacing, and if there's no ill effects, we see if we can go a little closer. And then we go a little closer yet. And this takes years to hone. This takes years to see just how close is close enough, and we don't want to go too close. And so as we get closer, we lessen the spacing a little bit, until we get to a sweet spot where we're growing so much more food in such a small amount of space that we can grow in this garden, this 2,000 square foot garden. We can grow, you know, in a given year, we'll grow 200 pounds of tomatoes. We'll grow about 30 to 40 pounds of strawberries. We'll grow about 60 pounds of lettuce. We'll grow roughly about 80 pounds of beans. We'll grow anywhere between 40 to 60 pounds of peppers. Cucumbers, we grow vertically up our cattle panel trellises right there. We'll get roughly about anywhere between 15 to 20 pounds of cucumbers from a single trellis. It's just incredible. I could go on and on. Beets, carrots, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, you name it. We high intensity space it, and it's game changing. It's life changing for us because we are able to grow thousands of dollars of produce in our garden, and we're only growing in 2,000 square feet. So in closing, I know that when people use the term game-changing or life-changing, they're usually trying to sell you on something that's too good to be true. It's usually some course or, you know, some type of gimmicky new business model. But with me, what do I have to sell you besides just a better growing garden that grows more food for you? This is a lifestyle that I've been applying to our garden, and it's something that I've been doing for now going on 5 years. And I just want you to experience that same bliss and happiness that I have in my garden, because I can't tell you how many people, even maybe you, have written to us saying that you're frustrated that you can't grow as much food as we do. You might be discouraged that your garden doesn't look as good or as full, or, you know, it might be more expensive than you wanted it to be. And it's letdown after discouragement, and you just feel like there's a secret, like that there's something that's just not being told to you, that the world is keeping from you. And at the end of the day, nobody is keeping anything from you. It's just that we are keeping our minds so closed to questioning the information, to questioning the status quo. And sometimes when we do that as gardeners, we discover very simple, everyday practices that we can implement in our garden that change not only our garden, but can change the whole gardening community for the better. And that's all this idea is. It's not too good to be true, because if it was, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I am doing it. I'm telling you everything that I do. Our channel outlines everything that we do. We pride ourselves in being the most transparent, you know, not hiding behind anything gardening channel. No frills. This is not a scripted, gimmicky thing. This is just me wanting a better garden for you. And so if that resonates with you, I hope it does. But make sure to go check out some of our other videos and really ask questions if you have any in the comments box below. I'm going to dedicate probably about an hour's worth of time when this video first uploads to answering questions. So if you have any, I'll be in the comment section down below answering questions. If you have a question, be patient. It might take me a while to answer them all, but I will answer as many as I possibly can in the time that I have, because I want you all to know that I love you, I appreciate you, and this is for you. This is so that you can have a better garden. And I benefit from our garden, but my platform is meant to benefit you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you all for watching and subscribing, liking this video, and sharing with your friend if you think that they'd enjoy. As always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home, and we'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.